2022 has come to an end, and here we are. Overall, it was a pretty good year for film, but that doesn't mean that every single film was fantastic. So here is my top 5 worst movies of 2022. The reason why I'm not doing top 10 is because if I did a top 10 list, some of them just wouldn't feel right to be on the list. Because I avoid a lot of movies I hear are bad. If I hear it's bad, I just don't watch it. If I hear it's great, I watch it. It's hard to do my top 10 because I'm probably going to have to do top 15, but for bad movies, I don't really know too many because I usually avoid the really horrendous films I hear about. There's one movie in particular that I knew for a fact was horrendous, and I just went ahead and watched it. Obviously, I regret it. But yeah, I do have 5 dishonorable mentions, so they're not on the list, but it kind of gives you an idea if I did a top 10 worst. So the first dishonorable mention is Jurassic World Dominion. A movie that I just didn't like. I didn't care for the storyline that they went with. Too many characters, too much happening. It just felt like a bland action movie that kind of forgot why you go see a dinosaur movie. Yes, there's dinosaurs there, but it never feels like the core center of the story that they're trying to tell, sadly. Of course, they use the dinosaurs to help them sell a metaphor, but I just felt like it was just lazily done when it comes to why you see a Jurassic film. Next dishonorable mention, The Lost City. I liked the movie up until I didn't. I really enjoyed it, and then, spoiler alert for the movie if you haven't seen it, Brad Pitt's character dies, and then I just went from, this is fun, to I really don't care anymore. It's forgettable, it wasn't complete trash, and like I said, it doesn't really feel right even mentioning this movie, but, it's just to give you guys an idea of why I didn't do a top 10 worst. Next dishonorable mention is Spirited. This movie was not for me. I'm not really the biggest comedy person, and it's a comedy musical with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. I think Will Ferrell's singing voice is really annoying. I don't know if that's just a me thing or if that's a universal thing. I didn't really check out the reviews for this one, but all I know is that whenever Will Ferrell started singing, my ears hurt. Next dishonorable mention is The Gray Man. This movie could have been great. I just felt nothing while watching it. The action sequences did not do it for me, and that's disappointing coming from the Russo brothers, particularly when they have The Winter Soldier and all these great action films that are in the MCU. And then to get to this, it just really felt underwhelming. I barely remember anything about it. I remember after Endgame, the Russos have been really going style over substance, almost like they're trying to be like Scorsese-type directors, and it just hasn't worked because they can't get a good enough script, sadly. And last dishonorable mention, Spiderhead, another Netflix film that has a great director, but just didn't land. This is directed by the same director as Top Gun Maverick, and he just did not deliver, and it's another movie that's on Netflix that has good filmmakers, horrible script, and then it just didn't work. This movie did not even reach the max of what this could have hit. Of course, it didn't explore the concept well at all, and I just wish it kind of dove more into the overwhelming sense of it all, but overall, it did not deliver. Here we are, the top 5 worst movies of 2022. Number 5 is going to shock most because it's a movie I gave a good review to the first time I watched it, and then I watched it a second time, then I watched it a third time, and I thought, what was I thinking? Because I don't like this movie at all. So this might shock some of y'all. Thor: Love and Thunder. This movie went to like the middle of my MCU list to dead last. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much the first time around. Maybe it's because I laughed at the jokes the first time, and I do like the humor in this, but I'm one of those people, once I watch the joke once and I hear it the first time, I can't laugh at it again. Amongst second and third viewing, I'm by myself. I'm not in a packed theater to laugh at stuff, and I just really see how lazy this film was done. It really does feel like Taika Waititi did not direct this movie. I don't know what happened. It really it's uncalled for because he got more control this time around, and it turned out to be a huge disaster. I fully stand by that. I think this is the worst MCU movie, and that really pains me to say because I love the MCU. I grew up watching it. I love the Thor character, and it's another character I grew up watching. And so when Thor Ragnarok came out, I was so happy to see Thor in top form. And so when we got Thor: Love and Thunder coming out, it's a sequel. It's supposed to, Taika has more control, and he's what worked about Thor Ragnarok, and then we get this, and it's not good. I mean, it's not the worst movie in the world. I think the movie does get a little bit better as it goes. Overall, I just thought it was a lifeless, spiritless, lazy film that did not deliver on almost anything at all. There's nothing here that I really latched onto. I did not think the action was particularly good. I didn't think the writing was good at all. Number 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first Netflix movie on this list. And wow, I will admit, under the right circumstances, this could be a fun movie, but it's so dumb. It is so dumb all over the place and just not good. I mean, the script is trash as much as you expect, and to be completely honest, I'm trying to remember the movie as well as I can because this was an early 2022 film. All I can remember is that one of the final shots of the movie is that one character gets drawn out of a self-driving car, and then the character climbs through the sunroof to watch them get killed and start screaming, but the car was set on autopilot and it just starts driving away and they're screaming. Just weird attempts like that to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre but modern. It just doesn't work. It feels lazy. It feels like it's trying to rehash, but it's new. How is it new? Because they got a Tesla in it. It just felt so lazy. I don't remember any of the characters. I remember there was some cool imagery that one moment made me jump, but it just felt like a lifeless remake that was not necessary. Coming in at number 3 is maybe the worst viewing of the year. It's not the worst movie of the year, but this was the most horrible viewing of my life. I was cringing. I was sitting back in my seat. I wanted to turn the movie off. It's really long, and that is Blonde. This movie, I didn't review this one. Actually, minus Thor: Love and Thunder and not my worst movie of the year, I didn't review any of these because I don't like to review movies I passionately hate, but Blonde was a total disaster. I got a headache while watching this movie, and sometimes I can get a headache, and that's a good thing. Like, my favorite movie of all time, Interstellar, I had a huge headache while watching it because it was so overwhelming and so heightening of senses, but I got a headache from this film because I just didn't know what I was watching. There's so much stuff in here that depicts Marilyn Monroe's life in such a way that really feels like, do you even like Marilyn Monroe? Because Ana de Armas, yes, she's great in the movie. The cinematography is beautiful, but there's a lot of choices here that have me asking, was that necessary? There's a lot of scenes in here and writing choices that made me go, do you really have to push this type of message in a movie about Marilyn Monroe? Do you have to put these ideas in your screenplay when it's supposed to be about someone and not a screenwriter venting? It really just felt like it was a completely misguided biopic that just didn't know what to do with itself, and so went a very different route and dove into a bunch of conspiracy theories, and it's just not the way to do one of these films, sadly. And it really sucks because this movie has so much going for it. Ana de Armas, under a better script, I would be praising this performance through and through because it is a great performance, just I don't like what they're doing. There is just so much here that I wish I can praise it more, particularly like the cinematography. There's a lot of cool choices here with the camera that were pretty neat and original, but sadly I didn't like what they were filming. So it really is like one of those conflicting films where I watch it and I'm like, I can give that a cinematography nomination for my awards thing I do, but I'm not going to do it because I don't like what the shot was of. It was a great shot. So that's just kind of like a wrap up of how I feel about this movie. There was so many parts where I was like, that's cool, but this is making me feel uncomfortable. Coming in at number 2 is Moonfall. I bought this movie thinking to myself, you know what? Let's just have fun with this. Let's just turn my brain off and watch like a Michael Bay kind of movie. Ronald Emmerich, he makes disaster movies. It can be fun sometimes. I think I watched this right after I watched Greenland, which I love that as a disaster film. And so I was like, yeah, let's just pop this movie in. And oh my god, I wanted to die while watching this. This was unbearable to me. I wanted to have fun with it. I tried to. I couldn't. There was this one part that I keep laughing at was this Alexis sponsorship because it happened at the beginning of the movie and I said while I was watching it, I guarantee you that Alexis is going to do something really cool at one point. And then we have Alexis jumping over rocks and doing extreme stunts with crappy CGI. This movie looks horrible, by the way. It does not look good. CGI is ugh. The characters here, horrible. The acting, horrible. The script, horrible. This is nothing really entertaining about it. If this movie at least had good CGI and fun moments, I'd maybe give this a pass and maybe wouldn't even be on this list, but nothing about this movie is fun, sadly. I did not have fun with this movie. I don't want to watch it again. I don't want anything to do with this movie, sadly. Yeah, Moonfall, sadly, is number 2. And number 1, Morbius. No, this is not technically the worst movie of the year, but the reason why it's the worst movie of the year for me is because I feel like we should be past these kind of movies. Sony, they make the Spider-Man movies. They made the new, they're the studio that made Into the Spider-Verse. They produced the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, which isn't bad. And so when they produce stuff like Morbius, it just has me questioning why they are going in this direction, because clearly their strong suit is doing stuff with Spider-Man in it. So why do we feel such a need to make villain movies? I don't really care for either one of the Venom movies, and I have no excitement for Kraven the Hunter or Madam Web. I have no interest in it. Yes, I'm really excited for Across the Spider-Verse, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a Peter Parker Spider-Man movie. They can tell all types of Spider-Man stories. I really don't have any interest in anything that Sony has to offer when it comes to their Spider-Man universe. Yes, if the MCU is involved, I'll be interested, and if it's Across the Spider-Verse or like an animated Spider-Man film, I'm open to it. And if Sony does get a good team to put something together that's maybe doesn't have Spider-Man in it, maybe I'd be interested. But when they keep on pulling movies like Morbius and expecting a show up and then playing into the memes of it, Jared Leto like even almost admits that the movie isn't very good by playing into the meme, thinking that they can get box office numbers up. It's just insulting. Like, if I were working on that movie, I would be completely insulted that my lead actor is playing into the meme, no matter how bad the movie was, because at the end of the day, an actor admitting like something like that, and when you're trying to work on this movie, at the same time, I know the director was fairly frustrated with some of the stuff that Sony was doing to this film. I don't understand how also Jared Leto can just automatically play into a meme. Maybe he doesn't understand that the meme is making fun of the movie. I feel like he's not that dumb, right? Maybe he is. The way he was so committed to this role and did method acting by pretending to actually be sick and walking around or wheeling himself to the bathroom or being in crutches and putting the whole entire film back for a day or so because he wants to make it realistic when he's on the crutches. It's just annoying stuff like that. But of course, the film, I could talk about that, but we all know what's wrong with Morbius. It's as cliche as it gets. It's as predictable as it gets. The CGI's horrible. The acting's horrible. Nothing about this movie is redeemable. I will admit, the first act of Morbius shows potential. It wasn't amazing, but it shows potential. But the more you get into the movie, the more cliches it plays into, the more illogical it gets, the messier the plot gets. It's just the more you watch this film, the less sense it makes. And that's why Morbius is the worst movie of the year, because we should be beyond movies like this. Morbius had nothing there. Nothing that made me go, that's a cool idea, at least. Yeah, that is the top 5 worst movies of the year. I kind of had fun just spilling out a bunch of angry thoughts in front of a camera. I'm not going to do it very often because I don't like hating on a movie very actively, but those were my 5. Do look out for a top 10 best or top 15 best of 2022 because I have that in the works, and I do need to see 2 more movies, but I just might make the video because there are 2 movies I doubt will make the top 15. Anyways, comment down below what your worst movies of the year are. Obviously, don't be too cynical in the comments. I don't know if I'll be doing this video next year or the year after. Comment down below what you guys think of my list, if there's anything you think should be here, and if there's something that you think should be here that I didn't list, it's most likely because I did not watch it. There is one movie on here. There's actually a couple movies that I could have even easily put on here, but was too nice to put it on here. Yeah, I'm not gonna say them. I'm looking at them right now on my Letterboxd. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.